Okay, good morning. Yeah, we're still in the morning. Yeah, it's like 11 o'clock, almost afternoon. So welcome to the NAN Student Safety Initiatives and Updates presentation workshop. We're going to have Emma Krakauer. Emma is a policy analyst and acting education manager at Anishinaabe Aski Nation. She is an OCT member in good standing and has worked in all kinds of classrooms ranging from the provincial system to First Nations classroom. She has participated in a variety of cultural and language activities and wants to support all children and youth to grow strong and proud of who they are. Emma will be speaking on behalf of her coworker, Jessica Corsten, the NAN Student Safety Coordinator, as she is unavailable to attend the Best Practices event. Take it away, Emma.
Thank you so much. I would like to begin by saying thank you for having me. I have recently tested for COVID, so I am doing this virtually, and I will mute myself in case any coughs come up. I'd like to share a presentation and go through it with you of all the different things that the student safety program with NAN has done. So here we go. And from the beginning. So there are going to be about 8 initiatives that I'm going to touch on about all the different things that NAN has been doing to encourage and promote student safety when they attend a high school outside of their home communities. So things to keep them safe while they're attending school in Sioux Lookout, Thunder Bay, and Timmins and other regions in NAN. So the first thing is this community building campaign. So I'll take a pause here from this screen because we're going to jump to the YouTube where you can get a better idea of what this looks like. So let me just jump between screens here. All right, here we go. right, and coming back to the PowerPoint. So as you could see, these panels, these panels, they have information in the center column there, all about how to combat racism and issues that led to or may have led to the situations in which we had lost students while attending high school in Thunder Bay. The goal is to share accurate information on the histories and realities of First Nation people in a way that engages the community. So it combats racism not by pushing against people's perspectives and views, but by sort of shifting them, by presenting them with an alternative source of accurate information in a non-threatening way. They're able to be shared outdoors, these panels, or indoors. So they can be displayed in your schools for as long or as briefly as you would like them. You would just need to send an email out to either myself or Jessica, and we can share with you the sign up to request the panel. If there is a conflict with multiple locations requesting the panels at the same time, we'd let you know right away and be able to come up with a plan so that everybody would be able to share these panels, because we want to spread this message as far and wide as possible. And to ensure that you don't have any issues with having these panels displayed, you don't have to worry about funding to put up, bring in, and take down the display. All those costs are already covered by us at NAN. So the panels will be installed and taken down by a team of professionals. Once dates and times have been agreed on, tents and events will arrive at your school for setup and takedown at a time that works for you. The panels are made out of a durable, water-resistant material that can be displayed indoors or outdoors. So in that video you saw, that was 2 summers ago at the Wake the Giant event, which was outdoors, and those panels were displayed throughout the entire weekend, looking no worse for wear. That in that video, you'll notice that there's the information panels in the center, and then there were these other panels and seats around the outside. If you have limited space, you don't need to have all the panels. You can just have those information panels. So yeah, whatever suits you. Now, we had some issues with getting this big display panel far away from Thunder Bay. So getting it to Timmins, for example, was it didn't go quite as smoothly as we had hoped. So we have entered into a partnership with the Timmins and District Hospital, and we're creating a whole second set of panels that will be slightly smaller and focused at being more for indoor use. So they're not made of the same tough material as the first set. So this would enable us to have a second set to be able to share with more locations. And again, if you have any questions, if you would like to request a set of panels, please contact Jessica Corsten at jcorsten@nan.ca. This second set is still in development, so it is not yet available, but we're hoping that it is available within the year, within the next few months. So the next item is continuity of care. So students are starting in their home community, and then they come out of the community to go to high school. And if they require any additional services, sorry, pardon me, just one sec. Sorry about that. So if they require any supports and services in the city, and then they go home at a break, or perhaps they have to return to the community, are they still going to be able to have that same support that they were able to access in the urban centers back when they go back to their community and forth and back and forth? So just making sure that their care is continuous, continuity of care. So we have been developing an app working with HARP Labs to have an app that will support workers both inside and out of the community to make connections for student supports. So I have a screenshot there of the first page you see when you open it up. The app provides student workers with location-specific information on the various supports that may be available to assist students. And you can see we have it set up for Thunder Bay, Timmins, Fort Frances, Dryden and Sioux Lookout, and the one at the bottom there that you can't quite see, it just says Other Ontario. So just these would be more online and virtual things that anybody can access anywhere in Ontario or even nationally. So this continuity of care app is intended for the use of student support workers, boarding home coordinators, and anyone that might be involved in ensuring that students are connected with services that they may benefit from. So the screenshot here is just an example of if you were looking for academic or tutoring supports, you would select that from one of the menus, and then in the top right, you'll see it says sort by name. That just shows you that you can sort it either alphabetically, or in the next screen here, you can see it's the same thing, but it's being sorted by distance. So it takes your distance where your phone is and what's closest to you. So the goal is that as students move from their home communities to urban high schools and back, this app will be available to assist workers in ensuring that they can find the required supports for students wherever they are residing at that time. So we have a whole lot of categories available on the app. So on the screenshot here, this is what you would see, how you would scroll through. So this is the categories. We have counseling, dental, legal, medical, mobility, orthopedics, parent counseling and training, physical and occupational therapy, psychological, recreational therapy, school health, social work, speech language pathology and audiology, tutoring academics, vision care, nutrition, clothing. And the last few were added more recently. This is the emergency shelter, harm reduction, sexual health, and crisis support, as well as others. So those were added on as a need that wasn't addressed yet. So we wanted to make sure that anything you would need would be findable, would be able to be accessed. This app is still in its early stages. I think this is our second test app. So it is still in development, and we are hoping that it will be available in the not too distant future. So the app also identifies Indigenous focused, if it's Indigenous focused, if it's available in their communities or only in urban centers, if it is nutrition based, if it is 2S LGBTQIA plus friendly, or if it supports that. Also, if it's free or non-for-profit, since some items are not. I also have a screenshot of Niji Indigenous Mentorship, which is through Lakehead University, just so you can have an idea of what information is available. So you can see that it has the little symbols, whether or not you have to pay for it, whether or not it is an Indigenous focused service, in which case it is. It gives you where it is, the phone number, website. It also has a brief description and a map that if you tap on, you can enter into that Google map to be able to see where you have to go. So if you were driving, you would know where you're going. So the next section here is Student Transition Workbook Series. So the goal of the Student Transition Workbook Series is to convert the information found in the more technical Education Partnership Program boarding home documents into more engaging and accessible workbooks for valuable student use. How? The purpose of these workbooks is to guide students through reflective-based inquiry activity. These activities will help students prepare for school off reserve and living in a boarding home. So this is the cover of the very first student transition workbook. It focuses on boarding home student transitions with information on communicating with boarding parents, roles and responsibilities, and other tips for academic success. Pardon me. This workbook will also assist boarding parents with providing a supportive home environment. I do believe that samples and copies of this workbook is available, hopefully where you are over there. If not, you can always contact either me or Jess, and I'll give that information again at the end. We can send these books out. There's no cost to them. Actually, I do have a copy here. I'll have to unblur. I'll show you guys after if you're interested. The next one. So we have the second workbook of the series. It's about mental health and self-advocacy. So it focuses on boarding home students transition with information on self-reflection on their mental health, tips and tools to support themselves, and how to self-advocate when they need support. So again, all of these activities inside these workbooks are meant to be done either alone by the student in a reflective sense, or can be done together in a class or with a parent or support adults to help them think of these things and help them through what they can expect to when they go into a boarding home in workbook 1, as well as how they can prepare themselves and be more self-resilient when they're at high school in the second workbook. Now we are working on workbook 3 as we speak. It is still in development. The focus is study habits and skills, so things that will help them be successful in school, help them be successful in class, as well as how to transfer some of those skills outside the classroom to be successful. School Options North. So we wanted to increase, so the goal of School Options North is to increase capacity in First Nation operated schools and to support students transitioning between school systems from the federal to the provincial, to improve First Nations student well-being through increased access to culturally relevant services, re-engagement of students who have been disengaged from a school system, improved student safety for First Nation students who must transition from remote communities into a provincial off-school or high school off reserve out of the community, improved parental choice and greater access to education for First Nation students. So this isn't a picture of the hard copy. It is a book that lists all the different schools within near the NAN territory, and it explains a little bit about each school. This allows parents and students to know more about where they're going if they're choosing to go somewhere different. Here is a link to and a brief screenshot of the the website version, which has even more information about each school. You're able to see where different schools are on a map and interact if this is closer to your community, if this is farther from your community. And you that way can have more choice and understanding of where you're going when you're going to high school. You can also, you'll see on the far right here, yep, right? It has a list of different search criteria. So if you want something with Indigenous student supports like drumming, or if you want something with hockey, you can search for those specific things, and schools that promote that will be able to pop up. So if you really want a school that has hockey, you can go to you can look at and see which schools have that. Student Safety Working Group. So the Student Safety Working Group meetings ensure that students are safe while they're in urban centers, and that it's a priority both when they're inside the school and when they're outside the school. The Student Safety Working Group includes representatives from each of NAN's tribal councils, education organizations, and district school boards with NAN students. So it's a wide variety of people, all of whom are working with students or have a connection to people who are working with students to ensure that we create a safer environment for them. So the purpose of the working group is to address ongoing issues and challenges faced by students attending school in urban centers by implementing measures and strategies to improve student safety and sharing of best practices. To discuss strategies for coordination between First Nation and provincial schools, and recently started adding a training component for working group members. First training session of de-escalating potentially violent situations was provided in both Dryden and Thunder Bay. So there's training, so the group recognized the need, or the need was raised and an act was made. So they made a training session to address the needs. Boarding home parent online training. So a lot of students come out of their home communities and they need somewhere to stay. So the Education Partnerships Program, EPP, conducts successful annual in-person boarding home parent training. There was an issue that not everybody is able to participate in these in-person training because maybe they have other commitments or their job doesn't allow them to. So it was requested that an online training to be created so that everybody can participate, so that we can have more success in recruiting amazing boarding home parents. These online training modules are offered through HR downloads, and partnering tribal councils and education organizations can distribute the training to their boarding home parents, as well as track their training, the completion of that training. We currently have two models. The first one follows the original EPP training program that has been used, and the second one follows the topics of the second student transition workbook, since mental health has been such a huge concern, especially through COVID. So the first module, when you go in, it kind of looks like this. You see the course overview and all the different areas that are covered, including roles and responsibilities. Roles and responsibilities of boarding home parents and their boarding students, strategies and tips for supporting students in academic success, preparations for boarding parents, students and culture shock, program guidelines and expectations for students, challenges for boarding parents and their students, student well-being, difficulties in the home, residential schools, and the realities of First Nations students. So it's covering a wide variety of topics that boarding home parents need to know to be able to best support their students and to be effective boarding home parents in the program. The second module was developed with the very similarly to that second boarding home transition workbook that was previously mentioned. It covers the difference, it defines and covers the difference between mental health, mental illness, mental wellness. It talks about stigmas, how it can be difficult to talk about these things because of stigma, cultural competency, physical and mental health. So the connection between physical and mental health, technology and the role it plays, as well as takes time to remind those boarding home parents of the importance of their own physical and mental health and well-being. Both these, the first module is available through the HR downloads platform and is with all the tribal council organizations who have been working with us on this with boarding home parents. The second one is in the final stages of being uploaded to that platform. So it should be available in the not too distant future. So this was an initiative, the Student Street and Self-Safety Initiative, that started just this past year. Deputy Grand Chief Annabette Achnipinescum requested the development of a task team to promote the skills and knowledge needed to be safe outside of school. NAN Inquest, NAN Women's Initiative, and NAN Student Safety worked together and developed an interactive presentation-based informative session. The goal is to ensure students are aware of the importance of street safety while they're attending schools and urban centers, and to ensure they have the awareness and knowledge for self-safety. That applies to both students who are coming out of the community to attend urban schools, as well as urban First Nation students. The task team wanted to present at all high schools in Thunder Bay, along with the feeder schools. Presentations were also done in Sioux Lookout and Timmins. So student, street, and self-safety presentations included presentations by the local police forces and NAPS about street safety. Some of them included an introduction to self-defense classes as well as lots of booths of local organizations that promote additional resources for student safety. So things like the Thunder Bay Health Unit Harm Reduction Program, Superior Points, the Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Center tips kits, Thunder Bay Counseling, ONWA, Beandigan, Sister Margaret Smith Addiction Center, and the Multicultural Association. All right, so for more information or to request presentations in your schools, you can email Jessica Corson, and there's another part where her email contact is available. So another online virtual guide is the Community Visit Protocol Guide. It is an online training that is connected with Inquest recommendation number 87. So most of the initiatives that we have done are connected with Inquest recommendations. So it was developed in order to provide students from First Nations communities with firsthand information regarding community supports. But it's also to ensure that those communities, those supports that are available in urban centers when they leave the community to go to high school, are know what those students coming from the communities need. And the best way they are able to do that is to go into the communities and make that initial connection there. However, there was a gap. The organizations going into the First Nation communities needed to make sure that they're using the right protocol while they're not insulting anybody, they're not saying or doing anything incorrectly. So this training was developed and is now available through the HR Downloads platform. It provides trainees with more access and flexibility so that they can complete the course at their own pace and in their own time. Time limits are placed when a trainee registers, so they don't have an indefinite amount of time, but they do have about 4 weeks, a good month. And trainees must achieve a minimum passing grade to complete the training, which I believe is about 75. So they have a good amount of time, and they do need to pass. So the modules cover a wide variety of information when you're going to be going into a community. So a little bit of project background, which talks a little bit about the 7 Youth Inquest, Pan-Indianism, which is the importance of not seeing all Indigenous people as the same. They're all different, or there are many differences between different communities. They don't all do things the same way. And talks about residential schools and intergenerational trauma. It teaches about tobacco and when you can use them and when not to, because not all communities have that same traditional connection with tobacco teachings as others. So that links back to that Pan-Indianism, as well as how to make your own tobacco tie, as well as visiting First Nation communities, different steps, what to do, what not to do, following up. So that is the end of the presentation. I see we have about 20 minutes left. I know we went really quickly through that. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions or thoughts or anything like that?
I also have the workbooks, so you can have it like the activities are student friendly, colorful and bright. That's workbook 1, and same thing with workbook 2.
I had a question about the development of the app. I know it's still in development, but I was wondering if it's student friendly as well.
Not very. It has a lot of information. We're still trying to make it a little bit more human friendly, if that makes sense. It is a lot of information that we're trying to share in a useful and simple way. It does have things that would be useful for students. So if they do need a tutor, for example, and they just want to find something on their own, it does have things like that, but it also has far more than what a typical student would need to look for.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question. It was really good.
Any other questions? Online even? I don't know if there's just the one still online. No? Well, I think that's everything then.
All right.
Yeah,
So
great.
I just want to say thank you so much for accommodating me. And unfortunately, we are a little tight, short staffed this week of all weeks. So thank you for accommodating me and your patience as I try not to cough very loudly with the mic on. um, yeah. So I think I covered most of the things that NAN has been doing, focused on student safety. There's presentations, there's trainings. If you have any questions or ideas that you would want to have ideas or include, you could always send an email or contact NAN, and we'll be happy to address your concerns or find a solution for sure.
Did you want to put up the contact information again, maybe, or just so
For
people can have time
sure.
to write it down?
So I'll put up this slide again. Hang on. Share.
Sorry, I put you on.
No, that's fine. So you can email Jessica Corsten. She's the student safety coordinator with NAN. She unfortunately was not available to present today. But I hope I did her presentation justice.
It was very good, very informative. I even learned some things too. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
right. Well, thank you very much. Hope you feel better soon and your whole house feels better soon.
Thank you.
All
Me
right.
too.
Thank you.